What's going on, guys? This is Tower number 9, and I'm coming to you with the first update to the rolling tier list. So this is the first update video and the second overall video with my rolling tier list for Star Wars Unlimited. And this time we have a new hero, Jyn Erso, a new leader that was previewed down here. So we're going to add Jyn to the list, but first we're going to discuss the leaders already in the list, and some of them have changed their positions. So this is where we were at last time. And let's go through the existing leaders and then bring in Jyn. So first up, we have Boba Fett. So Boba Fett, honestly, he's doing really well. I think some people would actually suggest that I move him up to S tier. My personal belief is that Boba Fett is in the A tier. He's very strong. He's very on meta right now, but I don't feel that he is like so exceptionally above everyone else as to justify an S tier placement. He's gonna stay here in A tier, but know that he's been doing very well. Next up, we have Han Solo. So Han is still pretty legitimate. The new Black One fighter works well with his game plan. It helps you refill your hand after you've maybe used his ability a bit and incurred some card disadvantage to play some stronger cards early. However, Han has not quite been doing as well as some of the other leaders. Um, and I think at least for now, and this could prove premature, but I'm gonna take Han. He was in the A tier. I'm gonna actually put him in the B tier for now. Um, and I think, am I saying that he's bad? No, not necessarily. But the the card that he's been really struggling with is actually that same No Good to Me Dead that is potentially an issue for Vader. It can be a big issue for Han as well. It makes getting that going from 5 resources all the way up to 7 and playing Han Solo or Mace Windu, the units, which is a play that Han loves to do. That play is so much less consistent with No Good to Me Dead, and we're seeing a lot of cunning in the environment. There's a lot of disruption that's going to make him less reliably able to do that. So we're going to send him down to the B tier here. Luke Skywalker, Luke gets to stay in the A tier. I think, not many people played him in the recent tournament. But he has recently there was a Fantasy Flight live stream that showed us some new cards, and Luke was already a pretty strong leader, and these new cards are excellent for him. So Unit Luke and the Battlefield Marine, I think, are both just excellent cards for Luke decks, as well as the Jedi lightsaber, which we've now seen officially previewed in English at least. So we're gonna keep Luke in the A tier here. Sabine Wren. So Sabine also, I believe, is gonna stay here in the A tier. Sabine is probably the strongest aggro deck in the game right now. Her aggro ability is really high, and she just sort of runs over a bunch of decks that aren't prepared for her. She does have counters, so Boba can play against her fairly well, especially Red Boba. I do feel Red Boba is stronger against Sabine than Green Boba. But Sabine is by no means totally out of those matches either. She can absolutely fight back, and I'm gonna leave her up here in the A tier. Grand Admiral Thrawn. Um, this this might be controversial. Thrawn right now, I am actually going to say that he has been one of the more disappointing leaders in terms of what his power level seemed like versus the actual results that I've seen with him. In theory, he seemed like he was going to be really good, but for whatever reason, the results are just not turning up. Boba seems to be the much more popular choice among cunning villains. I am actually going to knock Thrawn down to C tier. He's probably the top of C tier, but he's not quite there yet. All right, so next up we have Vader. Vader won the tournament. So Thork playing Vader did very well against Boba. I think there is at least an argument that Vader is in the A tier. Um, I think there's also at least an argument that he is still in the B tier. His matchup against Sabine is not good. Um, it's possible that there's some tech or whatever that is going to help with that, but Vader deploys very slowly and Sabine is not very slow. which can be a big obstacle. But I do think that Vader is well suited to fighting against the Boba decks that are pretty common in the meta in at least some ways. There's often kind of this thing where I don't know, I don't remember who exactly told me this, but in these games, you often want to either be a little bit slower than your opponent or way faster than your opponent. So right now, Sabine is the way faster option when it comes to most decks, but Vader is the like, I'm going to be that little bit slower, and I'm going to sort of trump their plays with stronger stuff. You know, they're going to bring out a leader on turn on 5 or 6 resources. I'm going to bring out a leader on 7 resources, but mine is going to be stronger. Vader works well with overwhelming barrage with some of the big Imperial ships. So he has a pretty strong thing going there. The main problem that I have with him, and the reason that I am reticent to put him into the A tier, is that he does struggle sometimes with really fast stuff like Sabine. And even in non-Sabine decks, if Vader doesn't see his ramp tech, you can get these games where, you are just not like by the time that you deploy Vader, your opponent's already in a very strong position and he doesn't last too long. So it's a challenging scenario. Um, I think I think in honor of Thork's tournament win, I am gonna say that Vader. I'm gonna give Vader a spot back in the A tier. I will also say I think No Good to Me Dead. It was less of an issue for him than I thought, in large part because you can still play Overwhelming Barrage on him once he's exhausted. It's still a very difficult card in terms of his board impact, but the opponent still kind of has to deal with him or else risk being barraged. So I am gonna say, okay, let's say. Let's give Vader the A tier back for this video at least, and we will see how he progresses from there. So then we have Grand Moff Tarkin. Um, yeah, Grand Moff Tarkin, I would say, I think B tier is about the right spot for him. He has a pretty solid, easy to use ability. Not quite at the same power level maybe as some of these heroes up here, but still quite respectable. We're gonna leave him here in B. Krennic, similar thing. Krennic actually did. There was like one Krennic deck in the tournament, and it actually did pretty well. And we're gonna leave Krennic here in B tier as well. He has some solid options. The expansion of the cards available for blue villainy has really helped with him. So like the new Avenger card, the Academy Defense Walker, stuff like that. When this guy was first previewed, he was actually one of the weakest leaders in the game, I think, just because of card pool issues. But now I would say he's respectable. He's respectable. Grand Admiral Thrawn, already discussed this guy. Chewie, I'm gonna leave Chewie here in the C tier. Chewie has good defensive gameplay. Chewie actually quite likes the card from my preview stream earlier. The Wilderness Fighter actually works really well with Chewie, but it's not I don't think it's so huge a buff as to make him go up a tier, but Chewie's still seeing some good support. Cara, she's gonna stay here in C tier as well. I would say she's better than the stuff down here, but she needs to see some more specters, in my opinion. Leia similarly going to stay here in the C tier, I think. She does like that new Battlefield Marine unit the Rebels got. Works great for her. But again, I think it's a building block and she needs a few more pieces to be in a stronger spot. Then Grand Inquisitor. We're actually giving you a bump up, Grand Inquisitor. So since these are not like super ordered in terms of where I think they are, they're like vaguely ordered, but not like I'm less committed to these. So Grand Inquisitor um is a leader that has had some trouble, but the new fifth brother works really well with him, like really, really well with him. And he's seen some more stuff that I think goes with his strategy. He could also potentially use that wilderness fighter to have his damage blocked by the shield, attack with it the turn it comes out. There's some other stuff that he can do. So at least for now, I'm gonna say Grand Inquisitor gets a bump up. I'm gonna put him in the C tier. There's some combo stuff you can do with him where you give him the Fallen Lightsaber and he can attack multiple times. You kill Admiral Mahdi or whatever with him, and then he gets to attack again and is just doing crazy damage. So there are some interesting combos you can do with him. The fifth brother is absolutely great with him, which you would sort of expect given the thematic synergy there. And I think it is enough to give him a bump. I don't think he's great, but I don't think he's on the same level as poor old IG-88 here. And last but not least of the existing heroes, poor old IG-88 is remaining here in D tier for now. I hope this guy gets better, but my opinion is that he is currently the worst leader in the game. He's just dealt with too easily. There isn't a ton of stuff that incredibly synergizes with him. It's possible there's going to be some kind of weenie deck with him that ends up working well, but at least for now, I'm just not seeing it. He really does not seem great. All right, so then that's how the existing tiers change. So we had a little bit of movement, a little bit of movement up and down. And then now we are going to have Jyn Erso. So Jyn is interesting. So I'm going to say I don't think she's A tier. She's definitely not D tier. The question is like B or C, where exactly does she land? My current belief is that Jyn is a B tier hero. So I have seen a fair few games with her, but not a huge amount. And I'm going to be interested to see how things continue with Jyn. Right now, she seems like she's quite solid. She has an ability that it's easy to get. Her ability is interesting, so it's easy to get value with it, but it's not always the most value. So her ability, basically her ability works anytime a unit attacks another unit, at least in theory. But the one reducing the other unit's power by one is sometimes a lot more valuable than on other occasions. She is a 6 cost 4/7 or a 6 resource 4/7 as a leader, which is respectable, but it's not the best ever. Boba is of course a 5 resource 4/7, which is I think honestly a good part of why he is up here in the A tier. His stats are just really efficient. But 6 resource 4/7 is pretty good. You know, Luke has that. Hera is I think 6 resource 4/6. 6 resource 4/7 is generally a better stat line than most leaders get. And Jyn does have that. Her ability works really well. On the leader side, her ability becomes passive and starts working really well with ambush units, starts working really well. Mace Windu can be a terror with Jyn. With your reducing the incoming damage from all those attacks, he can attack even more enemy units and wipe them out in one turn. Um, overall, I would say compared to Han's upside is higher. So Han can pull off crazy moves with his ability sometimes that other heroes just can't do, but Han's consistency is lower. Jin's ability is going to be much more consistently relevant. Similarly, Jin's leader card is again, you know, maybe lower peak, but more consistency, better stats, ability that's just sort of works, kind of just works rather than something where like in the right situation it can be great, but in some situations it's neutral or even arguably negative. So ultimately Jin will join Han here in the B tier. And you know, once again, it's looking like we have a pretty balanced roster. Nobody in the S tier, only one hero in the D tier here and a fair few selections from each of these remaining tiers. So that's gonna do it for the first update to the Star Wars Unlimited rolling tier list. I'm gonna save or download this, put this image up on my site, and I will be back later with another rolling tier list update when we see some big shakeups in the meta and or we see new heroes released. So thanks to you guys for watching, and we'll be back later with some more Star Wars Unlimited content. I will catch you guys later.